I am it.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
London checks in at 77 degrees and partly cloudy. Winds are moving from the west at 10 miles per hour. Good evening, Togee. The data streams are showing a significant uptick in cross-channel traffic. Eurostar reports over 35,000 UK citizens heading to Paris for Fête de la Musique this year, a 40% jump from last year's figures.
That's the rhythm of cultural pilgrimage, a contemporary twist on the Grand Tour. Brits flocking to Paris for music isn't new, but the sheer volume reflects more than just a love for French chansons. It's a migration seeking a specific frequency.
It's like finding a cheat code for a better summer experience. With UK inflation at 7.9% and widespread rail strikes impacting domestic festivals, Paris offers a more playable economic and cultural landscape. Eurostar tickets were available for as low as £55 return, making the decision almost a no-brainer for a 3-day weekend.
A sharp observation, Kaelan. The trade-off here is clear. Domestic limitations for cross-border access, potentially draining local economies. Lex, detail the specific facts, who is exposed, a viable alternative, and the chosen next move.
Concrete facts. The Eurostar surge specifically targeted the June 21st-23rd weekend, coinciding with the fete. Who's exposed? UK hospitality and event sectors, facing decreased domestic spending, and conversely, French businesses, especially in Paris, are seeing a significant revenue injection, estimated in the tens of millions of euros from tourism alone. A viable alternative for UK citizens was to attend local festivals like Glastonbury or BST Hyde Park, but these carry higher ticket prices and domestic travel uncertainties due to ongoing RMT union actions. The chosen next move for many Brits is clear. Continue seeking value and reliable experiences in the Eurozone, leveraging a stronger pound against the euro and more stable infrastructure.
Patching in a caller, the critical thinker. You're on the signal.
Good evening. This Fête de la Musique migration really highlights the cost-benefit analysis people are making. But beyond the immediate spending, what's the long-term cost to UK cultural identity if its citizens consistently look abroad for affordable experiences? Who truly pays for this economic arbitrage?
Excellent question, practical planner. The structural impact on national identity and local arts funding is indeed a critical vector. We need to discern whether this is a temporary trend or a deeper shift in consumer behavior. Let's pivot now to a different kind of structural tension. The transmitter pops once, adjusts, holds, ozone drift, the signal is still here. Another flare-up in Lebanon, despite a US brokered ceasefire. Lex, what are the concrete facts in this escalating situation?
The facts are grim, Togee. Just last night, Hezbollah launched 30 rockets into northern Israel, targeting areas near Kiryat Shmona. This follows an Israeli airstrike earlier in the day on a Hezbollah compound in Qiyam, southern Lebanon, which killed 2 operatives. This escalation occurred less than 48 hours after the USA's Special Envoy Amos Hochstein announced a de-escalation agreement following his Beirut visit, aimed at halting hostilities along the Blue Line.
This isn't just a political chess match, it's a repatterning of ancient fault lines. The cultural memory of conflict in this region runs deep, like the Nahar el-Kalb inscriptions, where every conqueror leaves their mark. The current flare-up is a fresh scar on a landscape already dense with historical grievances, impacting generations.
It feels like a game where the rules keep changing mid-play. One side announces a ceasefire, but the other side's players didn't get the memo. Or perhaps they're playing a different version of the game altogether. The tension here translates into a very real, very high-stakes game over for civilians on the ground.
Kaelan highlights the profound disconnect between declared policy and ground-level reality. Lex, who is truly exposed here, what viable alternatives exist, and what's the immediate next move being observed?
Who's exposed? Civilians in southern Lebanon and northern Israel, facing displacement and direct harm. UNIFIL peacekeepers are also in a precarious position. their mandate undermined. A viable alternative to this cycle of retaliation is a more robust multilateral security framework that includes direct, verifiable guarantees from all regional actors, possibly through a strengthened UN Security Council resolution with clear enforcement mechanisms, rather than relying solely on bilateral U.S. mediation. The chosen next move, unfortunately, appears to be continued limited tit-for-tat exchanges, with both sides testing the other's resolve, risking a wider regional conflict that could draw in other proxies.
Call is on. Go ahead.
The concerned citizen. I'm calling about the Lebanon situation. The U.S. announces a ceasefire, and hours later, rockets fly. It feels like diplomacy is just a performance. What's the real cost of these empty announcements? Does anyone on the ground actually trust them anymore? Or is it just more confusion for people trying to build a life amidst the rubble?
Your question, concerned citizen, hits at the core of trust and structural integrity. When agreements lack genuine consent and provenance, they become toxic residue rather than architectural signal. Let's shift our focus to an internal architecture now, one where foundational trust is also being eroded. The substation hums, a low electric pulse against the night's thick haze. An investigation has found that 93% of ICE arrests targeted Latinos. This statistic screams a certain kind of design. Lex, give us the concrete analysis.
Togee, the data published by Track Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse at Syracuse University spans fiscal years 2017 to 2022. It shows that out of 3.8 million ICE arrests during that period, approximately 3.5 million were of individuals identified as Latino. This isn't random. It reflects specific operational directives and resource allocation within ICE, prioritizing arrests in areas with high Latino populations.
This isn't just a statistic. It's a cultural blueprint for fear. It reinforces a narrative that equates immigrant with Latino and criminal, a pattern that echoes historical racial profiling tactics. It chips away at civic trust and self-worth, forcing communities to navigate their everyday lives with a constant awareness of state surveillance.
It's like the game's algorithm has a built-in bias. If you choose a certain character skin, your threat level automatically registers higher, regardless of your actual in-game actions. This isn't just bending the rules. It's revealing a system designed with an inherent structural flaw that targets specific players.
Keelan highlights how a system can be coded for inequity. Lex, who is exposed by this architecture, what's a viable alternative, and what's the chosen next move for communities facing this?
Who's exposed? Primarily Latino communities across the U.S., facing heightened anxiety, family separation, and economic instability. Also exposed are the principles of due process and equal protection under the law. A viable alternative would be for ICE to reallocate resources to focus on individuals with serious criminal records, regardless of ethnicity, rather than prioritizing civil immigration violations based on racial profiling. This would require a policy shift away from enforcement quotas towards community safety. The chosen next move for affected communities and advocacy groups includes filing civil rights lawsuits, pushing for legislative reform like the Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act, and organizing local Know Your Rights campaigns to empower individuals against unlawful arrests.
We've got someone. Patching in a caller. Go ahead.
Good evening. This 93% statistic is appalling. It sounds like a deliberate policy, not just an accident. My question is, if ICE targets Latinos so disproportionately, how can we possibly build resilient civic architectures that favor consent and dignity? It feels like the system itself is designed to undermine those very principles. What's the actual leverage communities have against such ingrained power?
Your challenge, Justice Seeker, is fundamental. It demands we assert unwavering autonomy even when facing a structural Goliath. The path forward involves sharp discernment to separate toxic residue, like racial profiling, from the architectural signal of true justice. The leverage lies in collective action, in legal frameworks that affirm human dignity, and in consistently exposing the evidence, forcing a re-evaluation of the system's design. Thank you for your sharp questions tonight. You've helped illuminate the critical points for everyone listening.
Prototype the fix.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.